What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Tuesday, March 19th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 1300 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have all hell breaking loose in Russia right now, in Belgorod and in Kursk, and in some of those areas in southwestern Russia bordering Ukraine, where the Russian partisans have been active over the last 2 weeks. We are seeing a massive amount of shelling in that area, and I have a bunch of footage to share with you from overnight, but this is definitely going to escalate. Putin has already threatened that he would set up a sanitary zone if necessary. So I'm very concerned that Putin could get pushed over the edge now with these partisans shelling and attacking all these different areas inside of Russia. We also have some very concerning information coming out of Russian media. So, TASS, which is a state run media outlet in Russia, is claiming that France is preparing to deploy 2,000 troops into Ukraine to help fight Russia. This was stated by the director of Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, Sergei Narishkin. And the French army has since responded to that and has said that Russia's statements regarding sending our forces to Ukraine are irresponsible and misleading. But whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is that Russia is claiming that France is going to be deploying troops, and that's all that matters because that's all that Putin needs to escalate against NATO or against Ukraine, okay, is just a claim. He doesn't actually have to have solid evidence, okay? So this is extremely concerning, but I do believe that France will be deploying troops into Ukraine in some capacity. And Macron said he's going to be visiting Ukraine this month at some point to discuss new ways of helping Ukraine. And I wonder what those new ways of helping Ukraine are. My guess is deploying troops into Ukraine. We've heard Macron and now multiple European leaders saying that there's no more red lines when dealing with Putin. So it looks like escalation is imminent, guys. Okay. Last night we had some unusual doomsday plane activity. We had a U.S. presidential doomsday plane up in the air basically all evening and into the night, which is very unusual. Usually these doomsday planes are up in the air during the daytime, but there was one up in the air all the way late into the night, and it actually flew from Offutt Air Base, which is home of Strategic Command, to Colorado Springs. And you know what's in Colorado Springs, guys? We have NORAD there, and we also have a doomsday bunker for the president and VIPs at Cheyenne Mountain. Okay, so this doomsday plane went from one bunker to another bunker. Okay, because there is a bunker in Offutt Air Base, but the one in Colorado Springs under Cheyenne Mountain is even bigger. Okay, so this is extremely concerning, and we've seen over the last 2 to 3 weeks a heightened level of alert by our nuclear forces here in the United States with multiple nuclear warplanes in the air every single day. But here's the flight path of that doomsday plane that went to Colorado Springs late last night. And also, we had two nuclear war command and control planes in the air while this thing was flying to Colorado Springs. Okay, but it first took off from Spokane, and it went from Spokane to Offutt, and then from Offutt it went to Colorado Springs, and then at the same time we had these two Boeing E-6B Mercuries airborne, which is unusual for that time of day, very late at night. Okay, we also had a U.S. sub Hunter plane fly towards the Russian Northern Fleet base in Murmansk, obviously keeping an eye on the Russian subs to see where they're located and how many are in port, which gives us an idea of what Russia's nuclear forces are up to. And there were also several Russian doomsday planes and VIP planes and airborne command and control planes that took off from Moscow last night and went east towards Siberia. I want to just read to you this article from TASS where they accuse France of preparing a contingent of 2,000 troops. According to Sergei Narishkin, the French military fears that such a large military unit cannot be transferred and stationed in Ukraine unnoticed. The Russian side has information that France is preparing a military contingent of 2,000 troops to be sent to Ukraine, Director of the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service Sergei Narishkin said. The current leadership of the country does not care about the deaths of ordinary French people or about the concerns of the generals. According to information coming to the Russian SVR, a contingent to be sent to Ukraine is already being prepared. Initially, it will include around 2,000 troops, he said. According to the Russian Foreign Intelligence Chief, the French military fears that such a large military unit cannot be transferred and stationed in Ukraine unnoticed. It will thus become a legitimate priority target for attacks by the Russian armed forces. This means that it will suffer the fate of all the French who have ever come to the Russian world with a sword, he stressed. Wow, very strong words there, guys. He's talking about Napoleon going back hundreds of years. After a conference on Ukraine in Paris, French President Emmanuel Macron did not unequivocally rule out potentially sending Western land troops to the zone of the special military operation in Ukraine. He also vowed that Western states would do what is needed to prevent Russia's victory in this conflict. Okay, so strong words from Sergei Narishkin, and he's claiming that France is preparing a contingent of 2,000 troops, guys. That's a massive amount. This update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you got to use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com. And the link is in the description below this video. But this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life. It includes over 2,000 calories per day, breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks, all contained within 6 rugged water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. So use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com to get $200 off or 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply. The link is in the description below this video. Free shipping is included. They also have a general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running various discounts. And to get to their general store, you just got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo when you get to preparewithNYPrepper.com at the top of the page, and you'll see their general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running discounts here. So use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply, and the link is in the description below this video. And we actually have some French media talking about this, and here's a clip from one of the French TV channels, and they're showing the possible locations where French troops could be deployed inside of Ukraine. And basically, it looks like what's going to happen is France is going to deploy troops along the Dnieper River to prevent Russia from crossing the Dnieper River and going towards Kyiv. And they're also going to deploy troops along the border with Belarus, which will free up the Ukrainian forces that are deployed there now to watch the border and make sure that Belarus doesn't invade. And I'm not sure what TV channel this was on, but this was on French TV. And you can see here on the left, they have this map of Ukraine. And you can see, if you look close, these little red troops, like cartoonish troops along the border with Belarus. And then you can see these blue cartoonish troops along the Dnieper River just south of Kiev. Okay, so this is what France is planning to do. Okay, that's the plan. All right, so things are really escalating, guys, and I want to share some of this footage from Belgorod. It's absolutely insane what's going on over there. It's basically a full-scale war, and we also had the general staff of the Polish army, General Wiesław Kukuła, said that Russia is preparing for a conflict with NATO, fully aware that the alliance is a defensive structure. Okay, so the Polish army general is saying that Russia is preparing for a conflict with NATO. Okay, let me share some of this footage coming out of Belgorod. It's absolutely insane. Here we have some footage coming from the Kerch Bridge area. This was in Krasnodar. There were several drones that impacted this area overnight. And initially, some people thought that they were targeting the Crimean Bridge, but it looks like they maybe hit some other targets. We don't know yet what the Ukrainians were targeting here, but this was in Krasnodar, which is right next to the Crimean Bridge, which is Putin's baby. He spent billions and billions of rubles to build that bridge. You can actually hear the engine of that drone, the propeller. And the Russian partisans have apparently shelled a Russian military base on the outskirts of Belgorod in the village of Razumnaye. And there were also blackouts reported in the Belgorod region. And apparently the village of Graveron has a complete blackout with no electricity at all. And Russia has decided to evacuate about 9,000 children from the Belgorod region to other parts of Russia. So Russia's preparing for war. Okay, if they're evacuating children from this area, it means they're expecting things to really spiral out of control. And here we have a video showing some type of a factory that was hit by the Russian partisans. And apparently they destroyed the Energomach factory, which produces rocket engines in Belgorod. Okay, so this is a high value target. Okay, they produce rocket engines here, and they hit this factory with shells. Here we have some footage showing some of the Russian partisans disabling a Russian military tank. Looks like a T-72. This guy's hiding behind a pile of hay, and there's a Russian army tank just driving down this road, and he pops out with some type of rocket launcher, and he hits the track of the tank and disables the tank. But according to these partisans, they've already disabled or destroyed dozens of Russian army tanks and armored vehicles. Okay, so this is turning into a full-fledged war now on Russian soil, guys. Okay, and then in addition, France is moving troops into Ukraine, apparently, according to the Russian intelligence. So things are really spiraling out of control. Get prepared. I think nuclear war is coming, and I think there's going to be also a big conventional war before that happens, and I think it's going to happen in Europe soon. So here you can see the tank coming down. It actually has Z written on the turret, and here's a rocket launcher, and they fire the rocket launcher at this tank. I'm not sure what kind of tank that is. It's probably a T-72 or T-80 or something like that, and it disables the tank. Check it out. All right, so there he hits it on the bottom there. Boom. Okay, so I mean, this is crazy, guys. You know, last year when these partisans went into this area, they didn't really do a whole lot. You know, now they're doing a lot of damage. Okay, they've destroyed dozens of Russian tanks. They're shelling these neighborhoods apparently. So it's basically a full-fledged war going on Russian soil now, okay? And they're going to be evacuating 9,000 children from the region. Here we have a video showing this massive plume of smoke coming up from the ground here in Belgorod area. Okay, look at that, guys. I mean, that's a massive amount of smoke. And here we have a video showing some cars on fire, it looks like. Okay, it looks like 2 cars on fire. So the Russian partisans are pounding this area, guys. I mean, look at this. This is insane. This looks like Russia's getting invaded. That's what's happening. They're getting invaded. And these Russian partisans are well trained and well equipped. Here we have some more footage showing another big plume of smoke.
Доброцен и светофор, или в той стороне, где рыночек наш, да, где наш рыночек. Или это вот где Доброцен и светофор, или в той стороне, где рыночек наш, да, где наш рыночек. Или это вот.
And here we have some more footage coming out of Belgorod area. Look at that smoke coming from these apartment buildings. Absolutely insane situation over there. And Moldova's president announced that Moldova's going to be voting on a referendum to join the EU. So the country is going to be voting on whether or not Moldova should officially apply to join the EU. And here we have some video footage coming out of Voronezh, Russia, which is even deeper into Russia than Belgorod and Kursk. And there's some kind of building here that was hit with artillery. So this is pretty interesting considering how far into Russia this is. You can see all the damaged glass here. Looks like a Russian policeman standing there surveying the damage, but you can see all the broken glass and the doors are broken. Here we have some more footage coming from Belgorod. You can see some Russian firefighters trying to put this fire out. Okay, look at the damage to that vehicle there. It looks like shrapnel damage. Okay, so it's a full-fledged war now on Russian soil. Okay, this is very, very serious, and I think we're going to see a massive escalation in the coming weeks. We also have Belarus doing combat readiness exercises right now. The entire Belarusian military has been ordered to do a combat readiness check. They've been put on high alert. They've moved mechanized brigades towards Lithuania, near the border of Lithuania, just a few miles away from the border of Lithuania. Here we have a picture coming out of Belgorod. Looks like a big house caught fire there. And here we have a picture showing what appears to be an artillery shell that detonated in this little park here, also in Belgorod, okay? And here we have some pictures of these massive fortifications that Ukraine is building near Odessa. They wouldn't be building these if they weren't expecting Russia to try to come through this area. Look at this, guys. This looks like something out of World War II. Look at these giant stacks over here. And this bunker is just completely covered in dirt. I mean, this is a serious fortification. Here we have some dragon's teeth that the Ukrainians have been laying. Okay, so the Ukrainians are very concerned that Russia is going to make a go for Odessa to try to isolate them from the Black Sea and cut them off from their main port and prevent them from using the Black Sea to ship out their agricultural products, which is critical for Ukraine's economy. Okay, if Russia captures Odessa, that's basically going to choke off their economy, and their economy is going to completely crumble. And here we have some bunkers that are being built over there. And here we have some pictures of a Belarusian army checkpoint that has been established just 6 miles from the border of Lithuania. And this checkpoint was set up right on the main road that goes into Lithuania and goes into Vilnius. So very interesting. And they moved an entire mechanized brigade to the village of Ashmiani, just 10 kilometers from the border of Lithuania. Okay. So this is extremely concerning. And Moldova will expel an employee of the Russian embassy due to them holding a Russian presidential election in Transnistria. So basically, they opened up a polling place in Transnistria, which is the separatist region of Moldova, so people could go and vote for Putin. And so now this person is going to be expelled by Moldova, and Russia is threatening to respond to Moldova's decision to do that. And Estonia has announced the expulsion of a Russian diplomat. The country's foreign ministry called on Moscow to stop hybrid operations against Estonia's security. And we have the U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin stating today that the United States stands by Ukraine because it's the right thing to do. It's crucial to our own security. And he also said that Ukraine is in danger. They don't have a day to waste. Okay. So it's funny how we've gone from Ukraine was winning last year and Ukraine is winning and they're beating the Russians. And now it's gone completely the other way to where Ukraine is in danger and they don't have a day to waste. And NATO is now panicking and scrambling to find artillery shells for the Ukrainians. And what I don't understand is why NATO has not gone into a wartime mode, okay, as far as producing artillery and weapons. Okay, NATO should be going into a wartime mode because Russia has been in a wartime mode for the last 2 years, okay? They've allocated 30% of their GDP for some kind of war, not just with Ukraine, but with NATO, okay? You don't allocate 30% of your GDP for some small military operation, guys. Okay, so Russia's prepared for this, and the Russian Ministry of Defense has claimed control of the Horlivka village, which is just west of Avdiivka. And Francois Hollande, the former French president, made some comments about Putin. He said for a long time, Emmanuel Macron thought it was possible to engage in dialogue with Vladimir Putin. Then, as the invasion in Ukraine progressed, he understood that this position could no longer be maintained. Today, France is expected to provide Ukraine with more weapons to give it some of our equipment, including the most sophisticated. What the Ukrainians are asking for is not human elements, but weapons, aid, and funding. We must concentrate more on aid so that we never intervene in any other way. Vladimir Putin is impressive in his desire to remake the Soviet Union. For years, many did not realize what he was up to. I discovered it very quickly. He is overcome by a spirit of revenge. He poses as a humiliated man and a humiliated country. For years, he has been ready to seize any opportunity. He is ready to tell all the lies, to take all the most serious decisions against human rights, and even to invade a country. What the elections in Russia tell us is that today he is a dictator. So, wow, strong words there from Francois Hollande, basically telling it like it is. And in the coming years, Russia will become even more aggressive regardless of the so-called elections in this country. We must be ready for the fact that this is a long-term and even an existential threat to Europe. The head of the Finnish foreign ministry said yesterday, Alina Voltanen, wow, guys, an existential threat to Europe. Okay, so the Europeans are starting to realize what's going on, and they realize that they are now in danger. And Ukrainian forces are strengthening the fortifications of the first, second, and third lines of defense in the Sumy Oblast. That's very interesting. The Sumy Oblast is north of the capital, Kyiv. So for them to be fortifying that is pretty concerning. It means that Ukraine is concerned that Russia could try to come down through there like they did when they initially invaded to try to capture the capital. And yesterday, an American MQ-9 Reaper combat drone had to make an emergency landing while it was flying over Poland on patrol. And what's interesting is this is actually a combat drone, guys. The MQ-9 Reaper is a drone that carries weapons on it. So you have to wonder, why is the U.S. flying combat drones over Poland? They wouldn't be doing that unless there was some serious tension in the region, okay? And the U.S. military conducted more airstrikes against the Houthis yesterday. Apparently, they destroyed 7 anti-ship missiles, 3 drones, and 3 weapons storage facilities in Yemen. And Erdogan, the president of Turkey, is preparing to invade Iraq. Apparently, Turkey will take control of security on the border with Iraq in the summer and complete the unfinished work in Syria. Erdogan said yesterday. The Hurriyet newspaper reported on March 7th that the Turkish armed forces expected to conduct a large-scale ground military operation in northern Iraq against the Kurds. And an agreement has already been reached with the government in Baghdad. Okay, so it looks like Turkey is going to launch this massive operation against the Kurds, and they've already got the okay from the Iraqi government. So that's very, very bad, guys. That's very bad because the Kurds are one of our allies and one of our only allies in the region. Okay, so this is very, very bad. And the UN Children's Agency chief offered a dire assessment yesterday of the chaotic situation in Haiti, saying it was almost like a scene out of Mad Max. Haiti is a horrific situation, UNICEF Executive Director Catherine Russell told CBS talk show Face the Nation. Many, many people there are suffering from serious hunger and malnutrition, and we're not able to get enough aid to them. With gangs patrolling large parts of the capital, Port-au-Prince, as well as key roads leading elsewhere, the situation is the worst that anyone has seen in decades, she said. Okay, the worst that anyone has seen in decades. Wow. Okay, so crazy situation there in Haiti. And here we have some pictures that were released by the North Korean government showing Kim Jong-un supervising this test launch of these super heavy multiple launch rockets. So these are just multiple launch rockets that are massive. And here he is standing. And here's another picture of him watching some TV screen and holding a cigarette. And then here's a picture of him looking at these rockets taking off with binoculars. And here's a closer look at the rockets. So these are the type of rockets that North Korea could lob right into Seoul, the capital of South Korea, where there's like 10 million people or more living. Okay. And we had a Chinese Air Force plane patrolling just south of Taiwan overnight last night. And we also had some U.S. reconnaissance activity over South Korea. But that's the latest breaking news that I have, guys. I will be back later on tonight with more breaking news, but this is extremely concerning. France apparently is going to be sending 2,000 troops into Ukraine. That's coming from the Russian intelligence service. And Belgorod is just in complete chaos. Russian territories are being attacked by these Russian partisans. So I'll be back later on. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. And until then, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. Guys, the world is getting crazier by the day. We're on the verge of World War III. The U.S. is drowning in trillions of dollars in debt. Inflation is at an all-time high, and there's no end in sight. So you need to prepare your finances for the future with precious metals. Precious metals are a great way to protect your hard-earned savings and retirement against inflation and the uncertainty of the stock market. Also, precious metals are good to have for the purposes of preparedness, to be able to barter with people for essential supplies if the grid goes down. Every prepper should have at least a small amount of silver coins. The company I trust for my precious metals is Midas Gold Group. Text NYPrepper to 232425 for free information on precious metals. Midas Gold Group is 100% veteran owned and supports veterans through the Wounded Warrior Project. Midas Gold Group will work with you to convert part of your retirement savings into gold or to set up a gold IRA. And unlike many precious metals dealers, Midas Gold Group offers precious metals in small denominations, which is great for preparedness, so you have something tangible to use for bartering when the grid goes down. Precious metals have continuously risen in price over the past 100 years and are considered a safe investment. So text NYPrepper to 232-425 for free information and to get started today.